Hello everyone, this is Oreo Blaster, and today we will be looking at the PTR patch notes for March 19th, 2018 for Heroes of the Storm. This was a bit out of the blue, at least for me, because I know that they were going to have an update tomorrow, Tuesday, but they ended up releasing the patch notes for the PTR today, and the PTR is live, or these patch notes are live for the PTR. I think that they're actually I don't know how I feel about them yet, because I haven't yet gone through them. So hopefully they have some interesting surprises, or just maybe include. I want to say maybe a Diablo change, maybe like a Chromie change, potentially Tracer. Hanzo Genji Maiev are always up for grabs to be nerfed or changed somehow. So let's get to it. We have some portraits here. New hero, as we know, is Phoenix. I haven't actually looked at his stats yet. So I knew that he had a shield that was like sort of, his temp health that would regen out of combat or not taking damage, I guess. That seems pretty considerable. That's like, let's say half of, I don't know, Malfurion's health bar at level 1. I don't really have a sense for how much his plasma cutter, the spin around and do laser damage thing. I don't really have a feel for how much damage that's actually going to be doing. I didn't realize it slowed them. I think I forgot about that from the in development video. The fact that it slows which means that it also procs his old damage bonus, which we'll see in a sec. I think that's surprising, especially just any character that has some kind of like executioner or does more damage if a target is CC'd, and they are also able to enable that with their own CC. I always feel like that's really strong. He has the phase bomb splash damage, increased range, does more damage thing, but it's pretty slow. And then his repeater cannon is like his more Tychus-esque auto attack. I feel like repeater cannon is going to be the thing that most people use because I believe it'll have a lot of single target DPS, and you're not really looking to do splash damage on people. I think the Phoenix is going to be really good at just assassinating individual targets. I'm not sure how that'll work with his talents or his overall kit, but I feel like he's gonna lean more towards sustain damage on one person rather than like AoE team fight damage, I guess. And warp, I don't know the range on it. From the in development video, it seemed pretty large. I hope it's not too much. Like I hope it's closer to like Li Ming Blink levels of teleporting. Because I think if it was farther than that, it would just make him too mobile. Seems really strong to have a blink like that in a ranged assassin's kit. Purification salvo is you lock on to enemy heroes after scanning in front of you, like a scan, and then he'll just automatically fire at them, regardless if they left the range, and does more damage to slow targets, which is why I think it's kind of crazy that you can proc your own slow with your plasma cutter. So that's interesting. And then Planet Cracker seems like a really powerful ability to use as a like global damage assist on people, or to peel for your teammates, or to like let's say maybe even hit the Abathur that's like hiding somewhere on the map, and you can just go and laser him. So personally, I think that Purification Salvo is probably going to be like the better choice for hitting mobile characters, because as long as you get the scan on them, they're going to get hit and take a lot of damage. But Planet Cracker is obviously like really fun, and I think has a lot more utility than, or well, not utility, but use to just kill people from across the map, or to help out your team if you just respawn, kind of like how Eye of Horus can do that. Heroes will no longer leave behind a ghost fades away after casting Hearthstone. That's fine. Doesn't mean that's a really minor change. UI, muting another player's pings. Okay. York's party frame health bar will display how much time remains before he spawns. That's helpful. Opposing teams, hero names will not appear. Whoa. That's... Oh my gosh. You cannot... Wait, hang on. So if they lock in their pick, you can see their name, but that means you can't... That means you're not going to be able to target ban people. That's pretty crazy, because I would say debatably one of the good skills to have it if you play a lot of ranked, let's say in like higher leagues, is that you start to like memorize all the one trick ponies that are playing stuff, and so then you can just ban their top pick and benefit off of knowing you're not having to deal with like the scariest thing that they could possibly be playing against you. So not being able to see their names is actually pretty huge. I mean, you'll still be able to see if they find a game, like if you're friends with them, and see if they found like let's say a Team League or Hero League game at the same time as you. But that's a huge change and a huge buff to one-trick pony characters or players who spam the same character and don't want to get target banned. Like I can see this happening for a lot of people, like a Murky player or an Abathur player or an Illidan player or a Chromie player, stuff like that. So that's gonna be an insane buff to one tricks. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that it's probably healthy for the game because I know it kind of sucks if you're someone who wants to play their hero and you can't because you get target banned all the time. That is probably good for the game. I mean, I think ultimately it's good for the game, but I think it's going to make it really rough playing against people who are one tricks. What we already read, opposing teams' player names are no longer visible during a draft. That better clarifies what we just went over. Abilities that specifically target destroying shields will now be affected by armor. We have Tracer, Variant, and Lily that got changed. Tracer health increased by pretty sizable amount. Health regen increased by a decent amount. Basic attack damage increased. That's kind of scary. Blink charge cooldown increased 33%. That's definitely considerable. I think that's probably a good nerf. Damage reduced from melee and recall had another cooldown increase. So now it is just straight up an ult now. I know one of my friends who plays Tracer a lot jokes about he jokes about how recall is basically Tracer's actual ult. Man, I could see that now. Pulse bomb damage reduced, secondary damage reduced, and scaling damage increased. So he'll be a bit stronger late game. Cooldown reduction increased from zero point 0.1 to 0.15 seconds for bullet time hits. Jumper also increases Blink's cooldown by 2 seconds. That sounds really bad. That kind of reminds me of Slip into Shadow, where it was Zeratul level 7 talent before his change again, where he could have 2 charges of Blink, but the cooldown would be increased by like 8 seconds or something crazy. So I feel like that made Jumper terrible. But I mean, I get that having 4 blinks is really strong. I don't know. I think that people will probably gravitate towards bullet time or take spatial echo, which is the hero takedowns grant 2 charges of blink. I think spatial echo will be the pick actually, because in order to just ignore the downside of the blink CD nerf, you could just take spatial echo and still get blinks back without having to feel like the cooldown got increased whatsoever. And Quantum Spike now does its bonus damage was reduced to 8% of max health. I think that is a good nerf because it kind of sucked that you could just toss it on a tank and punish them for having a high health pool. And it also just completely nuked even like low health people. It made it good against squishies and also tanks, which is kind of weird. I think so. Okay, let me read through this. Rona reduced her overall mobility, reduce her burst, increase the amount of time she needs to stay in range of opponents in order to be effective. I like that mentality because it really sucks just having to deal with the Tracer who, she can just go in and burst you down, and you can't actually do anything about that. You just die. Yeah, there's sometimes counterplay, but that counterplay can be categorized along the lines of like Diablo charging her, but Diablo's already insane right now, so we don't need to talk about that. I'm sad that they're not changing Diablo here. Like he doesn't need a rework, but he has like no build diversity right now, and he's just so good at everything. So yeah, I think that these changes will probably make her less of a burst assassin. She can still like do a burst, but I think she'll be much more of a sustained damage character. Increasing her basic attack damage by 2, it doesn't sound like that much, but I mean, I just recall this being a thing that happened with Diva, where they increased her damage from like 21 to 24, and that actually made her do considerably more damage, just because changing a number that much for someone who has lots of little auto attacks, it, like increases the damage like crazy. When you change a high number like that by a small amount, it doesn't matter that much. But obviously, the smaller the basic attack damage is, the more influential changes are to it. So yeah, I'm actually optimistic about Tracer here. I think that she'll be less oppressive without being bad. Like, because I don't want her to just be like gutted and not be able to be realistically played. I wouldn't be totally opposed to that, but I don't really I don't know. I never think it's a good thing to make a hero unplayable just because people hate dealing with them. Even for like for Valera, I think that Valera shouldn't be nerfed into the ground so that she's unplayable just because people don't like playing against her. But I don't know. So I think it'll be good. Variant. His health was reduced by a whoa, that's a lot. That is crazy. Oh man, that's like almost what is that? That's actually yeah, that's more than 400 health lost. That's pretty crazy. Health regen reduced by a large amount too. Health scaling. I don't think that's good at all. They're making him scale better in the late game, but he's already a late game hero, so that seems like they're making him even harder to play. Basic attack damage has been reduced by a gigantic amount. Basic attack damage scaling increased. Again, scaling the late game. They like made him he's like made of paper now and does no damage. That's concerning. The heroic strike damage reduced. Damage scaling increased. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. Lion's Fang hitting an enemy heals Varian and heals quadruple that against heroes. That's pretty cool. It gives him some form of sustain outside of like taking second wind or victory rush. Parry has been nerfed to be 10 seconds. Mana cost increase. Mana was never really a problem for Varian, but the cooldown increase is really significant. That's going to make Live by the Sword cooldown reduction much more influential. It'll be much harder to have a lot of shield wall uptime. Level 1 overpower. Damage bonus increased. Cool. I like that. I love overpower. Strong. Level 4. Ew. I see now. They moved his old choices from level 10. That is really interesting. I guess I can understand now why they wanted to nerf so much of his early game stats, just because you don't want to have like current Varian be able to get to choose one of his ults that early and be at the same power level as they are on live, because that would be crazy. And they nerfed Colossus match a little bit for the armor reduction. I can see that because obviously having Colossus Smash as like a burst choice at level 4 can make early game picks really powerful. So I can see why they would have changed that. Lionheart, new talent. Yeah, increases Lion Fang's healing for damage dealt to heroes by 50%. That's a good sustain tool if you don't want to take other healing choices. Victory Rush has healing reduced, but reduced cooldown threshold, and so you need to kill, what is it now, 3 minions to get it back instead of 4. It's fine. No. Oh. No. Uh, I live by the sword. Oh, that makes me really sad. Hmm. I mean, I can understand why they removed it, but mm, that's gonna suck. That's gonna make Colossus Smash really bad, I think. The whole thing with Colossus Smash was you being able to just like stay on people with Shield Wall. Actually, speaking of Shield Wall, where did they? Oh, they moved it. Okay, they just swapped level 10 and level 4. Like you used to be able to just go in on somebody and then have 2 charges of the Shield Wall parry that was 1.75 seconds long. So you'd have, let's just say like you can have half a second in between where you're not dying immediately. So you have like almost 4 seconds of protected. And then if you blocked enough basic attacks with one or both of those parries, you could just get another one again. So that's actually huge. Yeah, I think it's gonna make Colossus Smash variant really bad now. I think he's still gonna be made of paper. Like that's so little health, and that actually makes Second Wind really bad. The Second Wind heals for 1% of your max health, so it just is gonna heal way less than it would have before. Shield Wall moved from level 4. Now also reduces parry's cooldown by 5 seconds. That's nice. A 5-second parry, but it removes 1 charge. Yeah, that's. I guess that means that. Yeah, I think Colossus Smash is then dead. I don't think you can do anything with it. If you. Oh, okay. You can still do stuff if your team is enabling you, but you can't use it as a like lone wolf assassin and dodging burst damage. If that means you only have 1.25 seconds of protected every 5 seconds. That seems not good. Again, I understand because obviously it was like a meme in the community of, oh man, protected by the way, can't deal damage to Varian. What do we do? We just watch him parry and kill us. But that kind of sucks. I think it'll be okay, but what did they do to Warbringer? Now also allows Varian to charge allied heroes. So it made Varian even more like Illidan than he already was before. Or actually made, yeah, I guess Illidan more like Varian. Because Illidan already has friend or foe at level 4, so that's very similar now. Demoralizing Shout then also got buffed by 15% of the damage reduction. I'm not a fan of this change. I understand that like moving his hero to level 4 solves the problem of him being really awkward up until 10 and actually being half a hero, but I think it also meant that in response they had to like lower a lot of his early game stats so that he wasn't just hilariously overpowered from having his level 4 talents. But I don't like that much. I don't like how much they had to nerf him stat wise just to be able to move those talents to level 4. I think he's going to be really weak, especially because he can't take Shield Wall until 10. And he's going to be way less tanky. And that even means because Taunt gives him 50% more health, Taunt effectively got nerfed because he has less health now. So I think that, I don't know, I feel like he's going to just suck for now. That's a bit of a bummer. I mean, I'm not, like, again, I'm not opposed to it. I think they're going to have to do the musical chairs of trying to balance his kit around his ults and his ults around everything else, like all of his talents and stuff, because I know that it seems like we've already gone through the eras of Windblades, Taunt, and Colossus Smash, and then like keep cycling through them as they keep changing him. I think he's going to be underpowered, and then they're going to have to buff him, and then he might be overtuned with specifically one of his ult choices, and then that might change again in the future. But for now, he's not going to be that good. Lily doesn't look like Lily got a full change. The level 1 talent for Lily, it used to say, and I know this because I've been playing Lily a bit lately, hitting enemy heroes with blinding winds would reduce Cloud Serpent's cooldown by 4 seconds. So now it just flat reduces the Cloud Serpent's cooldown by 2 seconds. And casting Cloud Serpent also launches blinding wind at an enemy near the target. That's actually potentially insane because that means you could cast Cloud Serpent on somebody, and then it would, let's say, let's say they were getting chased by like Illidan or Tracer as just like the textbook examples, then that person who was chasing them would also would then get blinded when you were actually out of range of being able to blind them. That's pretty strong. I mean, that kind of also nerfs Cloud Serpent build if you can't put a Cloud Serpent on someone, blinding winds, and then basically get another Cloud Serpent on somebody immediately because of the cooldown reduction from the previous talent. But that's still decent. And also, I totally get why they nerfed hindering winds then, because then if you can have just a free blinding wind go off of the Cloud Serpent, no wonder they don't want people to just be like permaslowed. But that's really strong because that means you can blind somebody by like put a Cloud Serpent on yourself, let's say in a solo lane, or just against one other hero, and then it'll blind them, and then you can blind them again with your actual ability, and then assuming you're taking damage the entire time, and you also have the, I forget what it's called, the level 13 talent that increases the blind duration by 1 second, and Lily's autos against the blinded target do 75% more damage. That means that you can actually they would be blinded for about for if you maximize it, they'd be blinded for 6 seconds. So you have 6 seconds of increased auto attack damage on that one target. Plus, if you have fast feet active, that means you're getting 50% cooldown reduction, which means that you should be able to then. That means you can actually get a lot of like 1v1 damage and keep someone blinded for a really long time. So I think that is potentially really strong, and it also still works nicely with I think it's Surging Winds on 13, which is the one where if you hit two heroes with the blind, the cooldown gets reduced by 3 seconds. So I think that could be absolutely insane for just like completely shutting down one auto attacker. So I actually really like this change. I mean, I'm not surprised that it's all in a talent and not like baseline. Because if it was baseline, it'd be like kind of crazy. But I think it's good that there's now something competing with her other level 1 talent that gives her mana regen when she has fast feet active. That talent's crazy because it means she actually just never runs out of mana, even if you're spamming abilities off cooldown constantly, as long as you're getting fast feet to trigger. So I think this is a really cool change and could make Serpent build even better. Ooh, we have some StarCraft announcers. makes sense that there's Phoenix, but there's also the Adjutant and Mirahan, I believe is how you pronounce it. Again, I don't really know anything about StarCraft lore, but that should still be cool. It's nice getting announcers that aren't specifically heroes. Like Phoenix is going to be a hero in the game, but seems like we don't have anybody for these two. So that'll be nice. Regular skins, mounts. And I will say I was spoiled by this tidbit here because one of my friends messaged me about it. They got Carbot to do portraits and sprays for HOTS, which I think that's awesome. You look at these. These are these are just so adorable. And this Brightwing one is so silly. Well, I mean they're all really silly, but oh my gosh, it's amazing. You have the Yoshi Dehaka, the classic Chen drink, the Hanzo guy holding up the arrow. I don't know. These are it's funny because a lot of these are like also jokes from the actual Carbot videos. And they have them as sprays too. So this is an awesome. I mean, it's an awesome thing that people have been asking for a while. But I'm so glad that they actually finally did it because these are adorable. I know people were also saying that they would want the hobby horse mount because it would be really funny to just be riding a stick horse around in the battlefield. So yeah, these are awesome. I love this. I'm so glad they finally did it and paired up with, or Blizzard actually paired up with Carbot to make these. I think that this PTR update is, I think it'll be definitely be interesting. I think that Tracer's going to be a lot more of a sustained character. Oh, by the way, so I think Phoenix is potentially going to be really strong, but I can't say for certain yet. Like I really need to just play him in order to know or see gameplay of him. The two things that are sticking out most for me are that the laser beam slows, so it procs his other things that benefit off of slowing people, which I mean, it's fine for a character to have a way to proc their own CC bonus ability thing, but I think that's really strong, especially on what should be a ranged assassin, and him having a shield that is his temporary health. Like the ratio of shield to health, I feel like should be lower. It seems a bit strange, but it might work out. Who knows? Tracer's definitely going to be much more of like a sustained damage character, which is nice. I think that will probably push people who are wanting to play Tracer in the right direction of not playing her as like a burst assassin, like the classic someone just steps in 3 times with blink and then melees and recalls just to get ult charge. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think it with these cooldown changes, it just like punishes that kind of play style where you're trying as little as possible to stay in and auto attack people. Seems like they don't really like that play style. I'm glad with the changes on Tracer. They might be a bit too harsh, but I don't. I think that they'll be fine. Like I think the variance changes are gonna make him awful. I think he'll be buffed subsequently, and then one of his old choices is going to be insanely strong and synergize really well with his kit while the other two suck. And they're going to nerf that one or have to move everything around again. And then they're going to like have a headache and be like, oh god, well, this multi-class hero, why do we do it? Community, why we haven't made another multi-class hero? It's because of this. It's hard to balance it. And I think that this Lily change will potentially make her like an absolutely insane, like the top tier counter to auto attackers like Samuro, Illidan, or Tracer that are very dependent on getting their auto attacks in. And characters like Butcher, but who plays Butcher? Totally not this guy a while ago. So yeah, I think that Lily's going to be a really strong counter to auto attackers. Like I think up there with Arthas now as a result of this. And then we have the Carbot stuff and the bug fixes. So the Carbot stuff's going to be amazing. Make everyone's sprays and portraits look very animated, and it'll be really nice. I'll like it a lot. So I know this is kind of a long video, but thank you for bearing with me and going through the patch notes for the PTR. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have good luck in your games, and I will see you in the next video or on stream. Take care.